together. You can put a show together in the matter of a few days because the community there is sort of standing up, like self-sustaining on the artists within that small artist community. And it's really hard to do that in an industry that is really based on wealth and sort of, you know, a very money-driven industry that is in Los Angeles or in New York even. So there's something about, like, you know, from the way they sort of characterize it that is very self-sustaining and supportive, and that's really what it is about.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much.
I want to talk
Thanks
to you.
a lot. All right, I'd love to talk to you. But that was their sort of characterization of it, and this movie in particular is you know, proof right there. So because we couldn't have done this movie without people coming out, lending their talents to, you know, set decorate, to create a wardrobe that is authentic to the story that we're telling, that is, you know, Destin lived in San Diego as an artist and a filmmaker, and made his films from that community, and then he has, on the same way, like, put himself into other people's creative endeavors as a production assistant, as a writer, as a gaffer, as somebody who sort of, you know, produce the projects. Musicians were the same way. A lot of the people that came out to see the show in the story at the different venues, the Casbah, they were all people who just, like, came out to do this to make the piece as authentic as possible. So.
But as far as, you know, people getting together, I mean, what studio backed you to do this?
Studio? What?
Exactly. I mean, you guys gave up your time, right? You put your gas in your tank to get to your locations that you had to do, right? The whole collaborative effort made it happen.
Yeah. I mean, these guys, they mentioned to you during the Q&A that Destin, the writer-actor, Ron, the producer, and then one of Ron's uncles put a little bit of money into it. That's how we made this movie, because you had to do certain things according to, you know, we're using SAG actors. You had to do certain things that, you know, you have to do in order for people to live comfortably and be able to give a good performance, you know. So they met the standards that they had to, you know. The point is like, yeah, we did this, you know, we weren't able to do it if everybody wasn't dedicated and telling a cool story. At the same time, this group of people, and I've worked with them a couple of times on different projects over the years, and I've never experienced anything quite like it. It's a really great energy. So, I mean, everybody's going to say that about the films and the theater, but I've been doing a lot of theater and films for years, and I'm just really, I'm a really lucky guy to have been able to work with this group of people.
To talk about the character for a minute, though, it seems like there was a conflict between, there's the story of the artist, right, who's struggling with, you know, trying to get seen.
Can I just walk?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're quickly videotaping.
Sorry.
It seems like you're...
Sir, I bit my tongue earlier, so I need to wash down the blood, you know what I'm saying? Use that for your interview. Thank you.
The story kind of struggles between telling a story about a guy who's trying to make it a music, but then there's the how to grieve, you know, and the two kind of collide until the end, where it just kind of has a little resolution there, where you're just starting to care about the character, and then it ends. I mean, couldn't you see this easily going into a series?
Oh yeah, let's do it. You have some money you want to put up? We have the creative resource. I think we'd be down with it. I think that's a good, you know, a sign of a good story that, you know, once you watch it, you feel like I would love to follow this guy because finally he's got something that he's gotten over this obstacle, this roadblock in his life, you know, this thing that's kept him from being happy. However, I like that this film in particular doesn't wrap it up in a cute bow for you, which would make you say, wait, there's a realism there. And so, yeah, I would like to see what happens with this guy. Some people are going to be pissed off that it's not tied up just so for them. But you know what? Stories, music, any kind of art, it can be whatever it wants to be. So.
But do you think it carries more relevance now in these coming years where, we're not really taught how to grieve. We're not taught really how to, or shown how to, deal with bereavement. We just kind of go through it, and your character just kind of crashes into that wall head first, not knowing what to do. And then at the end, as it tends to resolve, it's like that's where the character really kind of blossoms, doesn't it? I mean, shouldn't you guys talk about maybe there is some further discussion to be had on, another sequel, which could be a third, and then by the time you get 6 done, there's a half of the series right there,
It could be. It could be you're onto something.
Because it just came together so quickly, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of times that's why I love reading and listening to music and exposing myself to different art, because in a way, if the humans in my life don't have the tools to give me to help me, learn about how to grieve, and maybe they've never been taught. Sometimes art can be that sort of teacher for you. That's why probably we look up to creators in such a way as if they sort of they're like our figures, to be adored because they've taught us so much, or because they've led us through dark times. So I mean, yeah, maybe Hipster,
the Sesame Street of how to bereave, how to grieve.
Exactly. I mean, well, that's what Sesame Street was, wasn't it? I didn't have cable. I could hardly see it. It was really blurry on my television growing up. So I just had Married with Children.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks.